Inspections. What do you want to say about inspections, Darren?
Well, so we can talk about it on both the buyer and seller side, and it's relevant. Obviously, they come together as one.
Right.
Um, the seller can have some control of how it comes together if they choose to do some work on the front end. Um, and that's the preferred situation, meaning that we do a walkthrough on almost every property to try to determine what's going on, ask people if there are any issues, and want to have things fixed so that when you go into escrow, it's a smooth escrow. Or at minimum, if you choose not to fix them, they can be disclosed and people know what they're buying. And it's not going to fall out of escrow once you get into escrow. The choices are yours. More often than not, from a seller perspective, you will sell for a higher price if you do the work up front and get it fixed.
Right. Right.
Certainly anything that's not functioning. There's two levels there. There's the functioning, non-functioning, safety issues, and then there's the aesthetic, right? So, but at minimum, functioning is important, and to make sure that's done the best it can be done, having a pre-inspection is the best thing to do, both termite, potentially sewer, as well as just a general. And they walk through. Even although we have a great eye, we're not going in the attic, going into the house, and sticking a camera down the sewer line. They will, and it gives you, from a seller perspective, it gives you control, because when you go into escrow and a buyer shows up, it's not complicated. The buyer wants the absolute best fix. The seller wants the cheapest fix. So the buyer's negotiating for the best fix, and the seller's saying, no, this is sufficient. And they're like,
Right.
no, it's not.
Right. Well, gosh, man, you're reminding me of a recent example where there was a buyer looking at a deck, and the inspector for that deck priced the replacement so high that I think it blew up the deal.
Oh,
A good amount of it.
100%. Yeah.
So you have to be careful, of tempering your inspectors. And, again, that has a lot to do with the conductor, which is a lot of times the agent, right?
Sure. So now you're talking, that just a great flip onto the buyer side of the inspections, right? So your choice of inspectors, what we always say is, please don't use adjectives. It's fine.
Right.
Just call it out for what it is. I don't need to say it's a really bad hole. It's a hole. Okay, you can determine if it's really bad or not.
Right.
It's a 6-inch hole,
Right.
I don't need the adjectives. So the presentation is so much. We want every inspector to find everything they can when we're working with a buyer.
Right.
Now, so it comes down to the presentation, and the presentation of what the problem is, whether it is a problem that needs immediate attention, whether it is a safety issue, and most inspectors have these categories in their reports.
Yeah.
Whether improving it is they almost always ask, no matter how many times you go through this, they're always going to ask, well, what do you think that's going to cost?
Sure.
The sewer guys do that, the roof guys do that, the dedicated contractors, they get work from getting that. And this is the situation with that deck inspection. It was just, this guy had no ties to real estate. And he just came in and said, I can make a boatload of money by saying, you need to demo this whole space. Right. And it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, that is, I feel, our job as an agent. We want everything disclosed. We want everything delivered. We want to talk you through what to expect. We have a transaction that should close in about a week and a half, and work with the buyers, and there's always things in every house, 100%.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to spitball that. That's probably about $5,000 to fix all those small things. And that's not how they see it. They say, I'm calling an electrician, I'm calling a roofer, I'm calling a foundation, I'm calling a gate person. They're thinking like 10 phone calls. I don't know how to deal with these people. I don't know what they're going to tell me. So an agent being able to kind of manage it, and again, we will adapt to each client's expectations of doing that work. And maybe they want to Going back to the deck. Maybe they want to demo the whole deck and upgrade to the best possible wood. And if
Yeah.
that's what they want, then that's the cost, and that's fine.
Right.
That's their choice. But to say that
Right.
it needs to be replaced as an
Right.
imminent need now it doesn't help anyone. Actually,
Yeah.
I
Very,
think it,
very short-sighted. And as you said, this is a matter of, context. Where are you in the market? As you said, who is your buyer? Who are you in terms of interpreting these inspectors? Who do you choose as an inspector? Do you believe them 100% of the time, and there's no challenge to that? Everything has to be in context and measured for the buyer to
sure.
get the deal.
And there's a lot to consider. I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, we're up to, I don't know, 60 pages on disclosures. One of them is, a 15-page list of like 50 things. Like, you should consider this and this and this and this. That's all it's saying. It's not saying anything's wrong with any of it. It's just saying,
Right.
think about all of these items when you do
Yeah.
your inspection.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? You're reminding me of another thing too. At least for us, when we do inspections, is we certainly take the inspection reports in. We create a list. We obviously have a meeting with our buyers, but from that list, it's really extracted and edited down to here's what we see as the reality of this versus just a free reign inspector just going out there and destroying everything and rebuilding everything. It's a big deal to have that other estimate from these inspections. You may not always get that,
right.
You should.
Right. So, managing that flow of information, choosing which information to get based on the house, maybe
Right.
based on disclosures. That's another thing from a seller perspective. Filling out disclosures in advance, delivering them in advance, so that there are fewer, and that's the same theory on doing the pre-inspection. But if you're disclosing any of the history on the property, you're doing it in advance, so people are writing their offer with that knowledge. It's not coming later, and they're seeing,
Right.
an adjustment, or it's difficult information for them to absorb, and it's changed their perception. You really want as much stability as possible when you enter escrow, and to maintain that stability for everybody, pre-inspections, doing disclosures in advance.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, that's a whole other game. Inspections. There you go. Anything else you want to say about that, Darren?
No, I think that's it,
Cool.
Chad.
Cool. All right. Well, look, guys, have a great holiday out there. We'll see you next week, Tuesday. We are switching now to Tuesday at 2 p.m. We started finding Mondays were just getting a little too busy. So we're hoping that Tuesday, 2 p.m., you'll join us next week and onward from there.